Hey everybody, hope you're okay. It's Q. I'm alone today. Joyce is at the vet for her dog. So for this last live of 2023 will be I'll be alone basically, but no worries. Um, don't hesitate to say hello in the chat as always to ask questions if you have any. And today we'll talk about like the last stuff we pushed to production recently. So being mostly the new parameters in the URLs, some kind of like some new designs in the editor to help you like be more productive, and lastly, the new API to help you use self-hosting programmatically. Um, that should be all for today. So rather quick live. Hello, Jack. Nice to see you. Also, yeah, I forgot to say, no, we changed the hour. So the lives, they will be every Thursday at 6 p.m. Paris time. So I don't know what time is it. So I think it's 12 p.m. in New York and 9 a.m. in San Francisco. And we've done this especially because we know that we have lots of viewers in the US and basically in North America, and we wanted to so that it'd be easier for you to watch the lives. And also Thursday seems easier than Friday. I don't know for you, but Friday we want to do something else than watching a live about work. So yeah, anyway, we are changing the lives on Thursday now. So I will just change screen, activate sharing, and let's go inside the beast, inside Weweb. Okay. I hope everybody sees my screen. And what I want to show you is that now you can use the parameters in the URLs. So I got an example. It's in French. Maybe I can find someone in English. I know what, I will redo this one. No worries. Because you'll get the logic. And first I will remove this page, this one too, and this workflow because I have to redo it with you. So basically, this page is a list of real estate properties that's coming from a collection. So here you see get properties, and first, new design from the editor is that you get this button to reload, refetch a collection. That's already nice. The other news is that you've got the new navigator, which is better to read, in my own opinion. We know though that there is a small issue when you pin it, like the size is quite constrained. So we are working on it already. But what I would advise is sometimes to unpin it to see everything. But you see, with the small icons, like for every element. And also, if you've got a yellow element like this, and I have, it's that they're deprecated. So we recommend changing them, but we'll send you a message when they will be end of life. Hello, Mathieu. Then, okay, so I have my collection, and I want to, when the user clicks on a card, to redirect him or her to the page showing the specific property. And what we used to do in the past in Weweb is use the query string. So the query string, is everything you've got in a URL after the question mark. And the thing is, with it works, but basically it's bad for SEO. It's bad for user experience because Google doesn't consider this as a new page. For him, for the bot, for Google bots, the query string is a variation of a page, and also it's, yeah, less intuitive for users. So when you share the URL, for example, it's not as easy to use. So what you could use now is use a parameter in the path of the URL, and that's what we'll do in this example. So first, I will create a new page, call it property. I will zoom again so that you really see well. And you see here, I will copy. I will do it from the empty page. But now you see in page default path, I can add a variable, and I will call this one property ID, and the default will be, I don't know, 3, because I want like the third um, real estate property by default in this page. And so you've got this notation with the double curly braces and the pipe and the default value. And basically, you can also create parameters that way. You can have as many parameters as you want. So, for example, second parameter and the pipe and the default value is 2, for example. So you see here, it will actually be in the URL of the page, so in the path. So it will be, sorry, I clicked, I shouldn't. So it will be slash property, you see here, slash the property ID, slash the second parameter. So I don't need the second parameter actually. So I will remove it. But this is much easier for user to use. And actually for Google, slash property 2, slash property 3, 4, etc. It's a different page, so it's better for SEO. So now we'll create this page, add a new section, and basically just to show you like the logic, I will just add a heading. I will center and an image. Okay, that I will make smaller because it's huge. And now what I want to do is that I want to go back to my homepage and create a workflow on a card that will redirect to this page, but changing the the parameter like property ID according to the ID of the card that was actually clicked on. So to do this, I will place myself on the property card. Yeah. Create a workflow on click. Let's call it redirect to property page. And then use a change page and select the property page. And you see here, because it's a page with dynamic variables parameters in the URL, I've got this parameter that is visible here. And what I will do is that instead of entering 1, I will bind it. And because I'm in a collection list, I've got my item data, and I will use the actual ID of the property. So if I test, you see that in the editor, though, it's still a query string because it's only for the editor, but it's actually usable because the editor doesn't render the pages like it's in production. Sorry, let me disable this. Okay. So we had to put it in a query string, but we'll publish the project after, and you'll see that it will be in the actual URL. Then what I can do now is that I can create, and that's what a developer would do, or like an experienced no coder, is to go on the page, trigger a workflow on page view, and actually fetch the data only for this specific property. So to do this, I will rename this workflow fetch property and use the REST API. I will open Xano because my data is in Xano. Okay. Login. So it was this project, yeah. Then in API, like all my data is in property here, see? And in API, I've got the endpoint to get all the properties, so get property, but also to get one property with the property ID. And what's cool also with using like the parameters in the URLs inside Weweb is that you can mimic the endpoint for your API. So like the one you've got in Xano or like Supabase. So it's really easy to like know, okay, which page in Weweb is equivalent to which API call in my backend. So I will copy the URL, use it, change my method to get, use it here with string concatenation, but remove property ID to use the actual ID that's in the page. So to do this, I will go in variable, and you see that here I have a new subfolder from path in current page, and I have property underscore ID, which is equals to 2. And if I do this, you see I get my property from the API. The last thing I want to do is store this result into a variable to use it inside the page and bind it on the page. So I will change the variable value. I created a variable before that I called selected property that's actually an object. And I will bind it to the whole result from the previous action, which is my real estate property. And now what I can do is that I can bind this text to my variable selected property name and the image to my variable selected property images. I will text the first one and then URL, and that's it. And to show you that it works, I can go back to the home page, go on this one, and you see I've got the right page, the right property. Sorry, I'm getting a little slow because we're actually quite tired and waiting for the holidays because it was a huge year for Weweb. But anyway, soon we'll all be on holidays, and I hope you guys too, by the way. Okay, so now I just have to publish. So we'll publish and promote and call it demo. Okay, so we've got a question from Mathieu. If we don't fetch it in the page where the header and images are, what would happen? As the workflow from the home page should lead to the dynamic URL path or not? Okay, not sure to get it. If we don't fetch it in the page where the I don't understand your question, Mathieu, to be honest, because if you don't fetch it, you will have like just always the same text on the. It would work though, because the page property would be like property /3/2/4, but it will always be the same text and the same image, like the default ones. Because basically you wouldn't have any dynamic content on the page, so the page would be always the same. But it would work though, because the URL is not dependent on your workflow. Like you could have like dynamic URLs if you want, dynamic variables in the URLs if you want that aren't used, but it will still work. We just have to wait that it finishes to publish. It's a bit long actually. Do you know why? Because lots of people have been asking us why is it taking long. It's because we have to change Amazon Web Services cache because we're actually hosted on Amazon, and changing the cache takes lots of time, and it's actually not. It's actually on Amazon side that is taking a long time, and we're trying to reduce this time. But yeah, I mean, we can't go faster than Amazon. Anyway, in the meantime, I can maybe show you other. Yeah, I mean, lots of changes in the editors, but it's mostly like convenience changes, like this reload button, the navigator. I told you already. The UI kit and the elements, they've got for some of them new images that will like unify soon. And yeah, mostly, I think also on the sidebar, if I show you the CSS sidebar, like this one, the right one, like it's taking less real estate, so it's smaller, but actually it's easier to read normally, thanks to new icons. And we've done that so that on small screens, it's easier to see everything. Any way to use unique names for the parameter, like this is the name. Let me check. Like here, having a unique name, you could name it however you want, but I'm not even sure. I'm not. Yeah, obviously you can't use spaces because. Oh no, you can because it's a variable. So let me try. me try actually. No, it doesn't work. Yeah, it's written. I'm dumb. You need like underscores or like slashes. Default value, the param name default value. Oh, maybe it doesn't work with this. Yeah, I think you need underscores, but you can name it however you want. So, like you, yeah, but you have to make sure that you use like unique parameters yourself. Um, I mean, especially if like you're using the same parameter on the page, property underscore ID, and if I do 5, so this would work, though you wouldn't know in your workflow which one is which one. So I wouldn't recommend doing so, but using like the same name on another page wouldn't be an issue because then it's scoped to the page at page level. It's not global, so it's always dependent on the page you're on. And then you have to look up based on that. Seems complex. I'm not sure to get it. Like, what's the issue of looking up based on the parameter? You can name it however you want because you can use it like the way you want in workflows. You're not even obliged to use it in a workflow. So you can just reuse it because it will become a variable on the page. But that's basically how all the modern web apps are like built. If you use like Airbnb, for example, or Facebook, or even Weweb, this you see here, it's actually your variables in the path because this is the ID of your project and this is the ID of the current page. And if you go to the dashboard, it's the same thing. Like if I go to publish setting, you've got the ID of the workspace, then the ID of the project, and that's how Weweb knows that it has to fetch this workspace and this project. Okay, so it's in production, so now I can show you. So I'm on the home page, and if I click this house, you see I have slash property slash 10, and I have the property with the ID 10. If I go back 5, I can even change it directly on the page. So if I do 3, I have number 3. If I do 2, I mean, you get it. And so it's working. Yeah, sorry, Jack. I don't know if I understood like your question well. If you want to rephrase it. Maybe I'm just too tired and too slow today. I apologize for this. But I'm not sure to understand what's the hiccup you mentioned. The last thing I wanted to show you, yeah, is that we have like new docs. So they're still on docs.weweb.io. We kept the old docs in the meantime because some stuff is still on the old docs, but we're like deprecating it and moving to the new ones with a normally more powerful search. And also, I wanted to show you this. So this is actually the page. I will send it to you. Um, yeah, in the chat. This is the page to use the self-hosting programmatically. So if you go to this page, you will see all the endpoints to actually trigger a publish of your project, to get back the status of the publish, to get the raw files with the zip, all this stuff. So meaning that even if you're self-hosting on your infrastructure, on your own servers, you can like trigger publishes or staging pushes to staging automatically using, for example, a routine on your backend, maybe on Make, on Zapier. I mean, anything you want, or even from your code, so that you're not obliged to go to WeWeb dashboard, click export, get the files and all this stuff, because it will be like it's really boring to do, and basically you have to do it all the time. So you've got access to this docs with the API. And as you can see, the new docs, we're beginning to list everything that we have in Weweb. So for example, I listed all the formulas that we have, and you can, and we're still adding stuff. So if something is missing, feel free to ping us. But we're basically rebuilding the whole documentation according to what we've done in the product this last month, and also to be more um, verbals about the Weweb's API. And this will be complemented early next year by the new Weweb Academy that will go more into details on how to build this use case, like for example, a CRM, I don't know, client portal, SaaS, for example, when the user doc should be over time more about how to use this formula, how to use this element to do responsive, but really straight to the point stuff. When you already know WeWeb, it's more like the dictionary of WeWeb. When the academy is more like how to do WeWeb and how to do no code in general. Just checking because Jack answered. No problem. You would need to use the name to look up the recordings. Zano. Uh, no, because you see here I use the ID, and that's actually best practice because the ID is unique and it's not changing. But if you wanted, you could use here, if I go back in my editor and I open my workflow here, I could be using anything I want. So here it's the ID, so it will be replaced by the ID. But I could be using the name, for example. I would say you shouldn't do this because the name can change, so it's not unique. But some people, what they do is that they use the name, but in the slugified version, and slug in web is like a text that's been converted to be in a URL. But what I do most of the time is I use the ID. But yeah, you could be using the slug. But anyway, you can throw everything you want in this variable as long as it's URL safe. So then depends on how your Xano is built, for example. Don't know if this answer your question, Jack. Oh, cool. Nice. Yeah, so I think that's all for today already. It was a short live, but we're coming uh, again next year, so 2023, for new lives with lots of things. Actually, we're still working on lots of stuff. So you've seen the components are arriving, the marketplace is arriving, it will be shipped next year. All kinds of new stuff, and also for the new pushes to production, because I know that some people had issues with the last one. We wanted to apologize, and it is the last time we are doing this because we are still a young company and we wanted to go fast, but no, we're going too fast, and we've got lots of clients that are building on us and that trust us. So for the next pushes to production, we'll actually tell you before what will change, do all the docs, and also for the big subjects, we're creating a new Weweb beta that will grant you access to the new features without before they're in production. So you could also be able to say, hey, I like this thing, but it's lacking X or Y, and help us building the products. But yeah, for the next pushes to production, we make sure that we don't break anything again, and we wanted to apologize again for this. And in the meantime, I will say, have a nice, I don't know how to say it in English, because in French we say fête de fin d'année, so end of year holidays. So basically Christmas, Hanukkah, anything you you want, New Year's Eve. Sorry if I'm missing some stuff, but spend time with your loved ones, and I hope we'll see each other again next year. See ya.